a tale so grand. Shushan is the place where it all began, the hidden lyric.
Good morning. We have two guests to help us tell our story today and to do our art lesson related to the story of Esther. So, Abby and Faris are here. I'm Mother Nan. And could you tell us a little, Abby, about what grade you're in, how old you are, where you live?
I'm in third grade. My school is Middle Elementary. My birthday is October 1st, and my mom's name is Lindsay Clark, and my birthday, and I'm about to turn 9 years old.
And you're often a guest of Faris's here at Calvary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Abby was in the Christmas pageant and often comes to Sunday school when we're gathering. So thank you so much for helping us out today. And Faris, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? How old are you?
I'm 8.
You're 8 years old.
My birthday's in summer. It's August 10th.
Okay. Oh, great birthday.
And my last name is Sam.
And what school do you go to?
I go to Milford Elementary.
Cool. Okay. So, first of all, we're going to make a special kind of cookie, which you don't know this yet, but this is a picture of a cookie that's called Haman Stashik. And these are cookies that are made at Purim, which is a celebration of Esther and her story, which I'm not going to tell you till a little later while we're cooking things. But this is the shape of the cookies that we're going to make, and you brought some stuff to put inside them. And so, Addie, could you come around and take the ingredients out of the bag that we're going to put in the middle of this delicious looking sugar cookie? Or this one. Okay, so you've got some trail mix, okay? Some hazelnut spread, some granola, dark chocolate. Some dried sweet pineapple. Okay. Anything else? And some strawberry preserves. Delicious. And I brought some raspberry preserves too, just in case people have a preference. And some more dried fruit, apricots and mangoes. And interesting, look at this. This is apricot. So just like they show in the picture, that's a favorite of the Jewish people when they celebrate Purim, to serve cookies with apricot and other kinds of fruit that you might have found in the Holy Lands. Okay, let's clip for now. Okay, so while you were gone, we poured some of the ingredients that are going to go into our cookies in bowls. And now it's time to put on an apron so that we don't get all this stuff all over the place. So, let's put this apron on Addie. Okay, and I'll just turn around. I'll grab this, and here we go. Is that sweater going to be okay? I don't want you to get a little hot in the kitchen. Okay, Faris. Well, I don't have to go on. When we do, you won't be standing right there. Okay, put that like this. Turn around. And we'll lift it up a little bit. Covers you good. What's that say on there?
Have you hug and
Episcopalian. So I am not sure when these were made, but I bet someone like your mom would know the story behind these aprons. But it's certainly a welcoming expression, isn't it? Oh, excuse me.
and paper.
All right. So, you guys ready for the next step?
Yep.
Okay. So the next thing we want to do is put a little flour in here, only because we're going to get our hands sticky if we try to form the cookies into this shape if we don't have a little flour on our hands.
I like flowers.
So you'll actually dip your hands in it like powder when it's time. Okay. All right. So I'll just put that aside. I'm going to scoot behind here. And the next thing to do is, it says, heat the oven to 350 or 325 for a non-stick cookie sheet. So let's go for 350. After this, we're going to have you guys use that a little bit. We're going to use this stove. this oven, I mean, and put this up to 350 just so when we're done, it's ready to use. Okay? Now, let's come around this side of the table so that you're not in front of the hot stove. That's come around. And so, I decided that since we are here and we're going to do another lesson after this in the classroom, it would be easier to use pre-made dough than making the dough. I hope that's okay with you.
That's
But the fun part is that you get to use the different ingredients that you bought to make them into hamantasa. So maybe we should turn off the camera for a second. We're going to try this with these cookies this thin first to see if we need to make them a little thicker. So everybody will get a chance. First, I'd like you to put some flour on your hands like this. Okay, you can put that on. Put some flour on your hands like this. We already washed our hands with the.
I just wish I don't get flour.
Flour won't come out of it. Okay. So just kind of go like, rub. You can put your hands in this is like you were playing in the sandbox.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's so powdery and weird.
Okay.
Feels like a hand on Play-Doh.
Exactly. Okay, let Addie get in there.
It's a little bit shaky.
Go ahead, Addie.
My hands are so powdery. They're so powdery. My hands are white.
I'm also going to make this a little rolling pin out of this cup so that each of you can just experiment. We'll all experiment. Just choose one cookie and make it a little bit thinner with the roller. See what you can do that too. Here's one. Okay. Let's see what we get. Okay, so looks to me like we could add this little piece to make it a little bigger. So Addie, would you just take that powder on there? So just roll it a little further, not too much further, but enough to make it into one big cookie. All right, so put a little more flour on it. Okay, good. All right, now let's just use this one as a sample. Would you go down and pick out one of your toppings? Now you notice this is starting out with a little bit of a circle shape. Yeah. These have like a triangle shape. So once Addie puts one of it, you just bring a couple pieces down. Addie wants to start with pineapple, so you really don't need too much. How about just 2 or 3 pieces? Good. Right in the middle. Maybe one more. Okay. And now you're going to take the edges and just roll them up around the fruit. Okay? It should have a little bit of a triangular shape. So that's basically what we're going to be doing.
Cool.
Alright, so I think that we're going to need to have a little thicker batter, but we can still use this by combining it. Make sure you have plenty of powder on the outside.
What if you put it in the
Would you roll that again? Okay, oops. Okay, good.
Oh, it's so
Now pick out something that you want to put in the middle.
Mango.
You can pull out that to be used on another one.
Mango.
Okay, mango, go ahead. I think it Okay, so you can, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just sort of squish in the 3 sides to try to make that shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just sort of, so it holds the stuff you put in the middle.
Stick it in my hands.
And if it starts sticking on your hands, just put your hands back in the flour. You can't have too much flour. Too little, it will all fall apart. Perfect. All right, now I'm just going to try to find a spatula, which we should. Well, this is a sort of a spatula. Let's see if this works.
Alright, that's down. I've always wanted to do this.
Okay, and of course you can always put a little flour in the spatula. And I'm going to spray this. Could you stand back, please, so that you're not going to. This is a lot easier than a paper towel and cooking oil. And there's 16 cookies per pack, so we want to get 4 rows of 4. Okay, so now that you know the system, you don't need me to tell you what to do. I'm just going to cut some more pieces, make them a little thicker. It's a good thing I didn't cut them all at once, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to make an experiment, this is another kind of cookie where you cut it thin,
And then you can
put on your jam, and then take another piece and cut out the middle and put it on top. So, if you want to do that, let me know. We'll do that for the second
I
tray.
like the I'm not going to use the apricot.
You want to try that? Okay, well, let's just finish one tray this way. Alright, so there should be enough room for you two to stand next to each other. Make sure, what did you forget? Gotta have plenty of flour. Otherwise it gets sticky.
It just acts like you're washing off a hermit crab. So that's the way to do it.
Washing off a hermit crab. Sounds like you went to the beach this summer.
I actually didn't go in there. we just have
In the past. Okay, that's good, that's good.
I mean, we used to have three, but not number one.
Okay. Here you go. And I think I'll make one too. I'm gonna go get myself up. And then Bonnie
I have too
can
much
make one if she
flour on
wants.
my hand. I'm gonna stand back here and just. Okay. Very good. I don't know when I should start rolling.
Alright, so just choose one and roll it out a little thinner, like half as thick as it is right now, so you have room to put something on it. And
Oh no!
maybe a little trick might be to have a little flour on the top like that when you start, right? It is that they fall apart. As the room warms up the dough, it's going to get harder to keep it from sticking.
I'm just gonna pour all the
Yep, and then pick out another topping. So,
Okay, too much powder.
okay, first pick out a topping.
Okay. I will take some apricots. Apricots.
It's okay. So you don't want to go too thin. Alright, so now find something to put in the middle.
Good.
You really don't need more than, I think, take one apricot off because it's just, you don't need that much. There you go.
Apricots are kind of big. They're not as big. Oh,
You're gonna
perfect.
when you use jam, use this little, use something like
Look at
this.
this. It's perfect.
It is perfect.
I try to make cookies perfect. Plus, sometimes my mom makes homemade cookies and they're delicious.
That one is for the cookbook photography. Look at how perfect that
And
was.
that's for the boys to share.
Boys and girls?
Yes, for the boys and girls that have no food.
Look at that. Looks like a little nest, doesn't it?
It does. Absolutely.
Okay, so move down another one for you, Eddie. And here's one made with jam.
I'm gonna use one for granola.
And so while we're making these, unless you have a question, I'm going to tell you the story of Esther.
Ooh, okay.
So,
Story time.
Story time.
Well,
So, thousands of years ago, whoa, in Persia, there was a king named King Xerxes, and he was married to Vashti. He loved to have big, giant banquets. And he was having a banquet with all of the kings from all of his provinces, and Vashti was having a banquet for her friends also. So she was busy serving her friends delicious food like this. And when King Xerxes said, "Bring Vashti to meet all my friends," Vashti said, not meaning to be impolite, "I'm busy serving my friends, I will come later." But he got all angry because he wasn't sure whether that showed disrespect or not. Of course it didn't, but that's how he took it. You know how that goes, right? Sometimes people don't understand what we meant. And it causes a big fight over nothing, right?
That's happened to me before.
I know, I hate when that happens. So anyway,
But
unfortunately for her, he said, you're not my queen anymore. She lost her position. And then Xerxes put out to the kingdom that all the young maidens of the land needed to come, and he would pick out a new queen. So, Mordecai and Esther were cousins. Esther grew up with Mordecai because he was a lot older and she had lost her parents. The story doesn't tell us exactly how, but so she and he were very close friends, and she was very smart and very calm, and she was also very lovely. So she got picked out among all the other women of the kingdom. And so Esther's now the queen. And then what happened was, Haman is a...
I forgot to roll down.
It's okay.
No wonder I was like, something is
So there was a man named Haman who was hired to be like the chief assistant to Xerxes. And he was not a good person. And all he wanted was for people to bow down to him and say how great he was. So once, Mordecai was in the courtyard and Haman said, everybody bow down to me. And Mordecai just simply said, I'm a Jew and we bow down only to God. It doesn't mean I don't respect you, it means that you respect God above all. And so Haman just sort of went harumph, and then he went and told Xerxes, the king, that Mordecai wasn't following the law. And so Xerxes was like half listening. He said, do what you want about it. So Haman decided to not only punish Haman, but all of the Jewish people. And he put up proclamations all over the kingdom that the Jewish people were going to be annihilated.
Oh,
So,
that does not sound right.
so Mordecai heard about it. Esther heard about it. They talked, sent a lot of letters back and forth.
Okay,
And
it's not perfect, but I
that's
like it.
beautiful. And
The only good thing about it is it's creative.
so Mordecai said to Esther, you need to get
It's a chunky boy.
you need to talk to Xerxes and tell him to do something about this. And she said, nobody can go see the king unless he asks you to come to him. And so Mordecai says, do what you have to do. You have to do this for the people, even at the risk of your life. And he said this very famous saying, it might be for this that you became queen. So she got courage from what he said. And what we're going to do now is just take a break from the story and the camera. Cut through
Wash my
and
hands.
if you need more powder, let me know and I'll put it on a knife. for
Do we
you.
get to taste test the cookies?
Okay. Yes, you do. You get to take them home. Maybe put
Yes. Are we gonna make the other cookies here?
well, yes, sure. But what we'll do when we get to your turn is cut a few of them in half the thickness. Okay? So,
That sounds good.
I think you're good. Keep going. Pretty sharp knife. There. You want to do one more? And then we'll let Paris do it for you. Paris, who are you named after?
I'm not named after anyone,
Oh.
but my mom and my dad got my name from my dad's great grandpa. So he clarifies I'm not as my great great grandpa.
Okay, what about you, Abby? Do you know where your name came from?
I think my great-great-great-grandpa, but I also do know one of my favorite singers, how she got her last name.
Oh, who's your favorite singer?
My favorite singer is Trisha Singh.
Okay, and how did she get her name?
She got her name from her great-great-grandma.
Very interesting. Okay, so we can start where Esther had to go approach her husband, Xerxes the king, and in a place where you had to have permission, no matter who you were, even his wife, to go into the room. So she said to the guard, I need to talk to my husband. He said, you know what happens. You could lose your life if he's not in the right mood. And she said, this is important. And he said, well, it must be, but good luck. So luckily, when she went in, Xerxes loved her so much that he listened to what her question was. And she simply said to him and Haman, who was there too, I would like you to come tomorrow to have a banquet with me, which I will prepare. So it was a short question, didn't interrupt business too long, it was a great idea, so they said yes. First miracle that they didn't get in trouble for just interrupting the meeting, right?
Oh,
So then, the next day, after they had a sumptuous dinner, Esther told Xerxes, her husband, what Haman had done. She told him that she was Jewish, so that if his proclamation was followed, she would be killed, plus Mordecai, her cousin. And he was horrified. He said, Haman, why didn't you tell me all this? And so Haman said, but Mordecai refused to bow down to us. And he said, Xerxes said, that's all this is about? Get out of here. So he was fired. And Esther was happy because he was out of the picture since he didn't like Jewish people. And Mordecai took Haman's job. So now you had 3 people at the top who were good people and good leaders. And so Esther risked her life to save the Jewish people. Isn't that great? So then there became a great festival called Purim to celebrate that she
I would do
saved.
the same thing.
Yeah.
The people who didn't have money and that couldn't buy a house or food.
That's great, Mary. She's a good person, just like Esther and Mordecai. Okay. So bottom line, every year the Jewish people celebrate Purim, and they have these delicious cookies. And they're supposed to be, I've read a few things that Mordecai wore a hat that was like a triangle. So it's kind of like Mordecai's hat. Isn't that neat? Yes.
Are those the next 2? Those things?
Sure.
Look at these.
Oh, well.
Oh my gosh, look at all the yummy.
I wanna make
Cooks and training, right?
I wanna make one of the cookies. Yeah. But
You want
I will use.
you want to use that one?
Okay, so it looks like there are 2 more.
Wait, that one with strawberries.
Alright, so let's put a little flour on top.
We're both making the.
Flour on your cup. So, this is a fun way to learn about Esther, isn't it?
Hello.
So we're going to have a puppet show in a few weeks too. And Kathy, who's just walking through, will be in that program, I think.
What about you?
She's been in the puppet. You know, when we gather again, all the children will do all the puppetry. It's just that's the way we've had to do it since
I like puppets.
we're in the social distancing time.
That
Sorry.
sucks, doesn't it?
Yes.
I don't like. It's stupid pandemic. I want to see my friends.
Well, what's the best way to make that happen?
One time.
Go to school.
Well, but how do we have to be to make sure that happens? We have to follow all the rules about social distancing and masks, right?
Yes.
And some people aren't doing that.
One time, his birthday party came when he went to the saunas to swim, but none of his friends had come.
Oh.
So he was pretty sad.
It was paintball before, cause
Oh, I
I
heard one
wanted.
time from your mom, she said you downstairs on the pool, and
It was a backflip.
Okay.
You guys can help out with it later, just join.
All right, so I'm going to make the kind of cookies that we have in the other picture.
Do I just pop it?
So, yep, that's fine. So we'll just finish this one. That's plenty. Okay, so we'll just sort of squish this together in the triangle.
I'll put some on that. I'll put some
So we have Mordecai's hat.
Now it says please wash the hands.
So you
That's
know,
what I want to do right now.
in that story, they say that Esther was the heroine, but Mordecai was the one who told her what to do, and she was in a position to do it. So they really both are the heroes of that story. All right, let's just wait. Just for this for the moment, I'm gonna make a circle in the top of these 2 little ones, so that whatever you put, the jam will kind of come out the top of the circle.
I never felt powder like this before. It feels so good.
Well, after this, we get to go down and tell the story of the creation. Because since you're here, we're going to tell 2 stories. One for the older group and one for the younger group. How's that sound?
Okay, I have a question. Yeah. Which do you like better?
Okay, guys, put a little jam on these 2.
Okay.
Jam. I like all jams. This jam, that jam.
Yeah, there's
More
strawberry.
jam. This jam, that
Okay.
jam. This jam, that jam.
And then then afterwards, these need to cook for, let's see how many minutes.
10,300.
I'll be gone by 14 minutes, 11 to 14 minutes. So
Oh, I'm wrong.
we'll have to make sure we tell our story in 11 to 14 minutes. Okay, that's good. All right, so now what we're going to do is just leave it right there. Don't squish it in. We're making circular cookies that have nothing to do with the Esther story. They just kind of look cool.
Oh, I.
These are not Harlan Tassin. These are just kind of like Linzer tours.
Have you ever eaten one of these?
They usually sell these at delis. You know what a deli is?
No, but I went to Denny's. I think.
It's a short word for delicatessen, where they have all kinds of cool stuff. Okay, so
A lot of powder.
adding a few other holiday traditions
Honey, this part.
just for the fun of it. All right, here we go. 2 more of those, you guys. Let me roll it out for you. Ferris, you're making it harder for me to clean up later.
Oh,
Just saying.
Wow.
I know. I'm sorry.
Oops. Sometimes being creative is, you know.
Oh, mercy.
Right. Okay, there you go.
Guess what I made when I was doing some creative stuff at my mom's house?
Does it have to do with cooking?
No.
What?
So I was making a game,
Yeah.
and so I had a piece of box, and I cut out sides, and then I put something in the side, and I put like little sleeves in it for 2 pairs to play, to put their arm in it, and then it was like, it's like a guessing game where you put something in, and 2 people are playing, and they're trying to verse each other to
That's what's in the box.
who gets who's first to get what's in the box.
That is creative.
I've
Wow.
seen people do it on YouTube where they put like a bunch of animals in it. But 2 people.
They
And
weren't real names.
and Preston plays and stuff.
Okay.
Preston plays with real animals. Had
So-
porcupines and water spiders and actual spiders. Like tarantula spiders.
Okay, so now I'm going to put these in the oven. And since right now they're not hot yet, I'm just going to put them like this. And then later on I have to use my oven mitts, of course.
What can I get?
And yes. Good job, you guys. Everybody take a bow. And so we'll be back in a few minutes to show you the finished cookies. So here we are with our final process and product of
They look
cookies, right?
delicious.
Yeah, they look delicious. These are Haman Tassin cookies, and the original ones have some kind of jam or dried fruit in the middle. And both Addie and Ferris were so creative that we have other ingredients as well. Can you tell me some of the other things you put in there?
We put like dried tomato, mostly like trail mix and granola and jelly and dried apricots and dried
Now,
apples.
guess what you get to do? Pick one out and enjoy your cookies.
Yay!
Okay, go ahead. Which one would you like? Go ahead. Just take it.
Strawberry chili.
Okay. And
So
Addie,
big.
you can pick one out from any plate. I think I'll have this little one with some raspberries. And I'm going to let Bonnie come pick one out too. Take care.
Can't see